To this day, observant Jews around the world gather together annually for the famous Passover meal. I'm Jonathan Watt with Atarah Group International, and our meal visit today with people of ancient times involves particularly one started by Moses. It was some 3,300 years ago or thereabouts that the Israelites, who had in previous generations migrated from the Middle East down to Egypt in times of famine, able to find food and a degree of security in their location of Egypt, eventually found themselves enslaved. And after generations of slavery, circumstances came about. Moses, a key figure of freedom as well as law, would lead the Israelites out of their slavery in Egypt and back to the promised land in the Middle East. The circumstances of this meal recall some of the details of that departure. For example, leavened bread normally would be what people could eat, but if you had unleavened bread, meaning you had baked it but had not given it time to rise, remembers the haste with which the Israelites fled as Moses on a key evening said, "Let's get out of here and let's head eastward across the Sinai Peninsula, eventually, after years in fact, heading upward toward the Middle East." Another important part of the meal was a lamb. And the lamb did two things. One of them is when it was being killed, its blood was taken, smeared on the doorposts on the outside of each family's home as a marker that God had set apart this family. Some other entity had died on their behalf, and when the angel of death were to come through and strike the Egyptians, this was a home that was to be left alone. It was already dedicated to God. And then, of course, the lamb was cooked up, and a protein-based meal provided the means for the exit. We describe Judaism as an ethno-religion, meaning most people who are Jews, past as well as present, are ethnically related, as well as share a common religious heritage. Some of its most notable features, of course, being monotheism and the recognition of the hand of God in defining events like the Exodus. And this meal, this Passover meal, a very good example of those kinds of definitions. You know, a friend of ours, his name is David Tall, he is a tour guide in Israel, likes to summarize Jewish events and celebrations in this way. He said, you know, they usually involve food, and it goes something like this: "They tried to kill us, they didn't succeed, let's eat." And that certainly is a good way to capture what's going on in the Passover meal. Remembers God's goodness and providential protection at a key and defining time in the experience of the Israelites. We hope you have good meals and good memories, and continue to enjoy our series of dining with people from ancient times.